They had physical shields for us that said Shield on it, like riot shields. And Billy.
Stop everything because the wrestling world has just been hit with the kind of twist that doesn't come around often. The kind of news that stops conversations in their tracks, rattles boardrooms, and ignites every corner of social media. Jon Moxley, the man who walked away from WWE in 2019 swearing never to return, the man who became the flag-bearer for All Elite Wrestling and the unrelenting heartbeat of its rebellion against the WWE machine, has stunned the industry by tearing up his AEW contract and signing a blockbuster 5-year deal with WWE. This isn't rumor or speculation. This isn't a tease or a cryptic social post. This is real, official, and earth-shaking, a development that promises to reshape the balance of power between the two biggest wrestling companies on the planet and raise questions about loyalty, identity, and what professional wrestling really means in 2025, from scorched earth to homecoming. What makes this story extraordinary is the context of Moxley's departure 6 years ago. He didn't just quietly exit WWE, he scorched the ground on his way out, speaking openly about creative suffocation, micromanagement, and the frustrations of being forced into gimmicks and storylines that didn't reflect who he was. On Chris Jericho's podcast, he declared that Dean Ambrose was dead, that he would rather retire than put on the flak jacket again, and that the WWE system had broken his spirit. He went to AEW not just to wrestle, but to breathe, to reinvent himself as Jon Moxley, the uncrowned king of violence, the fearless brawler who redefined what grit looked like in the modern era. For 5 years he carried that torch, bleeding in arenas across the world, representing the heart of a company built on being the alternative. That man now walking back into WWE feels almost surreal, but it underscores one of wrestling's hardest truths. In this business, absolutes rarely stay absolute. How WWE pulled it off? The mechanics of Moxley's return are as fascinating as the decision itself. Reports confirm that Moxley still had over a year left on his AEW contract, set to expire in 2026, meaning his exit was either brokered through a stunning early release or is about to ignite serious legal battles. WWE's offer wasn't just competitive. It was overwhelming, a staggering $40 million over 5 years, placing him above even Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes on the payroll, a deal that sent a clear message not just to AEW but to the entire wrestling world. But money wasn't the only carrot. Triple H personally flew to meet Moxley face-to-face, reportedly assuring him not only financial security, but something even more enticing: genuine creative freedom. The irony is almost poetic because AEW's founding promise was freedom, but somewhere along the way, Moxley felt that freedom slip. Now WWE, once his prison, has become the place offering him the key. Tony Khan blindsided. Perhaps the most shocking subplot is how Tony Khan, AEW's president and the man who made Moxley the centerpiece of his company, discovered the news. Multiple insiders confirmed that Khan wasn't briefed, wasn't given a goodbye, wasn't even offered a warning. He found out the way fans did, by scrolling social media and seeing the announcement explode across timelines. Imagine the humiliation of a company president realizing in real time that the man he trusted most, the face of his brand, had not only left, but done so publicly, dramatically, and without a single courtesy call. To make matters worse, Moxley reportedly told Khan on his way out that AEW had become everything he left WWE to escape. A line that cut deeper than any spear or chair shot because it attacked the very soul of AEW's mission statement. For Khan, this isn't just losing a star, it's a public embarrassment that could define his legacy as a promoter. Why Moxley walked away? So why did Jon Moxley make a decision that 5 years ago would have seemed impossible? The answer lies in frustration, timing, and opportunity. For half a decade, Moxley gave everything to AEW, carrying the company during injuries, ratings dips, and pandemic struggles. He poured himself into brutal matches, carried entire pay-per-views, and became the heartbeat of the locker room. But insiders say he grew increasingly disillusioned as AEW's creative direction stalled, storylines meandered, and the very identity of the company blurred. He pitched ideas that went nowhere, raised concerns that were brushed aside, and slowly watched the place he once called the alternative feel like the system he left. At the same time, WWE under Triple H began to rebuild its reputation, emphasizing longer-term storytelling, wrestler input, and a willingness to adapt. When the call came offering not just generational wealth but the platform to craft his own vision, Moxley realized the choice wasn't betrayal, it was survival. The immediate fallout. The speed of the fallout has been breathtaking. Moxley isn't waiting months for his debut. He is already booked for Monday Night Raw within 24 hours of the announcement, his first WWE television appearance in over half a decade. Insiders say his return will feature a live microphone and a tell-all promo where he lays bare his frustrations with AEW and why he chose WWE. It's the kind of segment that will dominate ratings, crash streaming services, and be replayed for years. AEW, meanwhile, is in scramble mode. Tony Khan is said to be reaching out to free agents, attempting to plug a hole that simply can't be filled, because Moxley wasn't just a name, he was an identity. Losing him feels less like replacing a star and more like replacing the soul of the company. Dream matches come alive for fans. The implications are intoxicating. Dream matches that once seemed like fantasy booking are suddenly possible. Moxley versus Roman Reigns, a clash of former Shield brothers where family loyalty and supremacy collide. Moxley versus Cody Rhodes, two former AEW champions now fighting under WWE's banner, a storyline dripping with irony. Moxley versus CM Punk, a rivalry with years of tension finally getting the global stage it deserves. And hovering over everything, the tantalizing possibility of a full Shield reunion, Moxley, Reigns, and Rollins sharing a ring again, whether as allies or enemies, on the road to WrestleMania 42. WWE reportedly already has an 18-month arc mapped out for Moxley's return, proving this isn't a stunt signing, but a centerpiece strategy. AEW's identity crisis. For AEW, the shock of Jon Moxley's departure cuts deeper than any single roster move because it challenges the company's self-image at its core. The alternative, where creative freedom, edge, and authenticity live. Moxley wasn't just a headliner, he was the proof of concept, the heartbeat that told wrestlers and fans there was life beyond the corporate polish of WWE. With him gone, AEW suddenly looks exposed, as if it's fighting upstream to retain top talent while the industry's biggest checkbook and platform sit across the street. That perception risk is enormous. Fair or not, people will read into this one move a broader story. That the magic that defined AEW's launch era has dimmed, that the vibe of raw experimentation has given way to familiar booking ruts and uneven momentum. This is where leadership, transparency, and nimble storytelling matter. If AEW leans into its strengths, elevating new standard-bearers, tightening long-term creative, spotlighting fresh voices, and recommitting to the wrestler's first identity, it can transform loss into a pivot point. But if it drifts, the narrative writes itself. The Rebel brand becomes just another company playing the same game, only with fewer resources. That's the existential test. Less about replacing a star, and more about proving the mission still has teeth. WWE's statement of power for WWE, this is not a simple acquisition. It's a billboard-sized message to talent, fans, and rivals. Under Triple H, the company is agile, assertive, and willing to rethink old habits to land difference makers. Bringing back Moxley signals a willingness to pay top dollar and offer creative latitude when it matters, flipping a decade-old perception on its head. The symbolism is potent, WWE reclaiming a figure who once defined AEW's identity, broadcasts confidence in its creative direction and faith in its long-term planning. The deal also stabilizes several high-impact arcs instantly. Moxley folds naturally into main event pictures with Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, Cody Rhodes, and CM Punk, while also expanding the menu of marquee matchups across brands and premium events. More strategically, this move functions as talent marketing. If a fiercely independent presence like Moxley sees a path forward inside WWE's system, the door swings wider for others who want money, reach, and a modernized creative process without surrendering voice. It's not about humiliation, it's about perception, turning the machine wrestlers escape from into the platform wrestlers run toward, and doing it on national TV in front of a fan base hungry for big, believable stakes. Fans torn in two, the reaction is a live wire. AEW loyalists feel gut-punched, hearing the echo of past vows, "Never again, Ambrose is dead," and seeing them dissolve under the bright lights of a blockbuster return. To them, it stings like a betrayal of ideals, the guy who embodied freedom choosing the industry's most powerful stage. WE fans, by contrast, are buzzing, fantasy booking main events, and anticipating a mic-drop promo that reframes the narrative. Then there's the pragmatic middle, the fans who understand that wrestling careers are short, that bodies take a beating, and that the right combination of money, platform, and trust can trump old lines in the sand. They'll debate whether this is selling out or leveling up, but almost all will agree on the thrill. Unpredictability is back, and unpredictability is wrestling's lifeblood. The most productive fan response might be to embrace the creative possibilities on both sides. AEW still boasts a deep, athletic roster and a fervent audience. WWE has the scale and storytelling infrastructure to turn moments into movements. If competition sharpens both products, the audience wins, provided we let the work in the ring, and the stories around it, earn our cheers and boos anew. The bigger picture. Zoom out and you can feel the industry tilting into a fresh cycle of true competition. Less tribal warfare, more iron sharpens iron. Moxley's move reminds everyone that contracts are mechanisms, not destinies. That leverage flows to wrestlers who command audience attention, and that the line between shoot and work will always blur when personal brand, company vision, and creative appetite collide. For promoters, the lesson is simple. Culture, clarity, and consistency matter as much as cash. When locker rooms believe in the mission and see their best ideas shepherded onto TV with care, loyalty deepens. When they don't, phones get answered. For wrestlers, the message is equally clear. Your prime is precious. Maximize it where you can do your best, most visible work. And for fans, this era invites a healthier lens. Judge less by press releases and more by what unfolds bell to bell and week to week. The most exciting stretch of modern wrestling happened when companies pushed each other to innovate. Presentation, pacing, character work, and match style all leveling up in response to real competition. If this moment reignites that engine, the sport itself becomes the winner. The final word. Moxley's return to WWE is bigger than a logo swap. It's the collapse of one storyline and the birth of another, a live experiment in how much the business has evolved. It proves principles can bend without breaking outright, that loyalty has limits in a career built on physical risk, and that creative freedom is only as real as the collaboration that protects it. For AEW, this is a crossroads. Double down on identity, empower new standard bearers, and let sharper, more disciplined storytelling re-rally the base. For WWE, it's a mandate to deliver. If you promise room to create, the product must reflect that trust. Less formula, more edge, and a spotlight that rewards risk. For fans, it's an invitation to enjoy the chaos responsibly. Debate hard, cheer hard, but stay open to being surprised. Years from now, people will remember where they were when the news broke, because it didn't just move a wrestler, it moved the goalposts of what felt possible. As the red light on Raw flickers back on and the music hits, we enter a liminal space where anything can happen. Alliances fray, empires expand, ghosts of rivalries wake up hungry. This isn't the end of an era. It's a new opening bell, and everyone, promoters, performers, and fans, has a part to play in what the next round looks like.